Let's start with a question that should haunt the halls of every so-called energy expert. What if gasoline never existed? Imagine it. A world where the internal combustion engine is not the kingmaker. The implications are staggering, but let's focus on 2026. A year that could have looked very different. This isn't speculative fiction. It's a reality that was stolen from us, locked away by corporate puppeteers. Why? Because a world without gasoline means a world without their control. In our suppressed timeline, the Solar Act of 1916 was the pivotal moment. Proposed in the aftermath of World War I by industrial visionary Nikola Tesla, the act aimed to redirect the war's industrial prowess towards solar power infrastructure. It was a blueprint for a solar grid that could have made gasoline obsolete. But the petroleum barons, I'm talking about the Rockefellers and their ilk, squashed it. They had too much to lose. Follow the money, and you'll find the truth buried in the annals of history. Fast forward to 2026. Without gasoline's stranglehold, cities pulsate with solar energy. Skyscrapers, unlike anything you've seen, double as solar farms. Their exoskeletons are photovoltaic marvels, converting sunlight into limitless power. These aren't just buildings. They're living entities, adapting to the sun's movements. Imagine standing before one, the hum of energy coursing through its steel veins. But why haven't you heard of these solar cities? Because they don't want you to. The oil magnates saw to it that this vision never reached your textbooks. The betrayal is etched in stone, or rather, in the absence of stones. The construction boom of the 20th century, driven by gasoline and diesel, never happened. Instead, a solar renaissance flourished. Glass and steel replaced by transparent, flexible solar fabrics. Entire landscapes reshaped by the power of the sun, not the plunder of oil fields. It's the world we were meant to inherit, a world quarantined by greed. Our transportation landscape is just as radical. The highways of our stolen 2026 are not choked with gasoline-powered vehicles. Instead, they're dominated by solar vehicles. Each car is a masterpiece of engineering, powered by a fusion of solar cells and lightweight materials. These aren't the clunky, inefficient prototypes of your reality. These are aerodynamic marvels, seamlessly integrating form and function. The absence of gasoline has reshaped our very infrastructure. Roads made from solar-absorbing composites light the way. No more exhaust fumes. No more oil spills. Just the silent whisper of electric motors and the occasional chirp of synthetic tires. But this utopia was erased, a casualty of corporate warfare. The oil industry would have collapsed overnight, and with it, their empires. So they buried it. The environmental stakes were just as high. Our 2026 should have been a sanctuary for biodiversity. With no gasoline to burn, the air is pristine, the skies clear. Wildlife has reclaimed territories once lost to oil rigs and refineries. Imagine forests thriving where there should have been wastelands. Picture oceans teeming with life, unpolluted by oil spills. This is not an environmental fantasy. This is a reality forfeited. The oil conglomerates knew that a solar-powered world would outgrow their need for fossil fuels. They saw the writing on the wall and chose to whitewash it. The world they feared, the one where nature thrives alongside technology, is the one they keep hidden from you. But it's there, waiting to be rediscovered beneath layers of deceit and denial. Now, let's address the energy behemoth in the room. The solar farms of our reclaimed 2026 are nothing short of monumental. We're talking about structures that dwarf anything in your current reality. Built on a scale that matches the ambition of the Solar Act of 1916, these farms are the beating heart of civilization, channeling the sun's energy across continents. Imagine sprawling fields of solar arrays, extending beyond the horizon, each panel angled precisely to maximize efficiency. The hum of energy is palpable, a constant reminder of what we've lost. But these aren't just power plants. They're symbols of freedom from fossil fuel tyranny. Their existence would have redefined geopolitics, rendering oil-rich regions strategically irrelevant. But the forces of suppression were too powerful, too invested in their archaic energy paradigm. They ensured this vision remained a footnote in an alternate history that never was. Let's delve deeper into the technocrats' worst nightmare, the decentralized energy paradigm of a solar-powered 2026. Picture an energy grid that isn't a grid at all. Instead, energy is generated and stored locally, in every home, every community. This isn't just about solar panels on rooftops. No, we're talking about energy independence on a scale never realized. Imagine each dwelling equipped with advanced solar cells embedded in every surface, turning entire neighborhoods into self-sustaining powerhouses. The absence of gasoline means the end of centralized energy monopolies. The oil giants, relegated to obsolescence, fought tooth and nail to prevent this reality. They understood that a world where energy is as abundant as sunlight itself would render their influence null. So they lobbied, manipulated, and conspired to keep us tethered to their pipelines. But here lies the irony. They could never keep the sun from rising. Let's pivot to the realm of commerce and industry. In this unshackled 2026, factories hum with solar energy. Production lines operate with precision and efficiency unthinkable in a gasoline-dependent world. Picture a manufacturing sector where energy costs are negligible thanks to solar advancements. The result? An economic landscape where innovation is not restrained by the whims of oil prices. Industries flourish, no longer at the mercy of fossil fuel supplies. This is a world of boundless potential, where the only limit is imagination. But ask yourself, why was this withheld from us? Simple. The petrochemical titans couldn't bear to see their coffers dry up. They needed us to believe that fossil fuels were the only viable option. This industrial utopia was sacrificed on the altar of their greed. Now, consider the societal implications. With no gasoline, public transportation is revolutionized. Imagine high-speed trains, each carriage a marvel of solar efficiency, gliding over tracks with unparalleled smoothness. These aren't the trains of your world, burdened by diesel and delay. These are silent, swift, and solar-driven. In an alternate 2026, urban centers are interconnected by a web of solar transit systems, rendering personal gasoline vehicles obsolete. The efficiency is staggering. Commuting becomes a seamless experience, devoid of traffic and pollution. The oil barons knew this would mean the death of their gas stations, their refineries, their legacy. So, they buried the blueprints of a cleaner future beneath their towers of oil. Education in this solar-powered reality is another revelation. Schools are not just centers of learning, but hubs of energy innovation. Picture campuses where students engage with solar technology hands-on, learning to harness and innovate with the energy of the sun. These aren't mere classrooms. They are incubators for future pioneers. In 2026, the curriculum includes solar engineering as a core subject. Students graduate with the knowledge to contribute to a world powered by limitless energy. The oil oligarchs, however, saw this as a threat. An educated populace capable of dismantling their energy monopoly was their worst fear. So, they manipulated educational policies to ensure their dominance was unchallenged. Finally, let's discuss the geopolitical landscape. In this hidden 2026, solar power has redefined global alliances. Nations rich in sunlight, not oil, hold the keys to energy abundance. The balance of power shifts dramatically, rendering traditional oil-rich territories strategically irrelevant. Imagine a world where wars are not fought over black gold, but where cooperation is key to maximizing solar output. The oil cartels, aware of this paradigm shift, have done everything in their power to suppress it. They thrived on conflict, on the leverage that oil provided. A solar alliance was an existential threat, one they could not allow to materialize. So, they obfuscated, misled, and manipulated, ensuring that this potential reality remained just that, a potential forever unrealized. Welcome to the gateway of communication in our alternate 2026, where solar power fuels not just our cities, but also our connections. Imagine communication towers not reliant on fossil fuels, instead drawing power directly from the sun. These colossal structures stretch into the sky, transmitting information with unprecedented clarity and speed. In this world, data flows like water, unimpeded by the bottlenecks of outdated energy infrastructures. What you're seeing is an unfiltered reality, where communication isn't throttled by the cost of energy but propelled by it. The oil conglomerates would never allow this. They thrived on scarcity, on keeping the masses tethered to their metered pipelines. They couldn't afford to let the world see what abundance looked like, so they kept us in the dark. Shift your gaze to agriculture, the backbone of any society. In this hidden 2026, farms are transformed into sprawling solar utopias. Each field is a carefully orchestrated blend of agriculture and solar technology. Picture crops thriving under panels that both shield them from harsh weather and supply the energy needed for high-tech agriculture. These aren't your grandfather's farms. They're biotechnological wonders, maximizing yield and minimizing waste. The sunlight not only nourishes the plants but also powers the machinery that tends to them. The oil barons had no place in this future. They needed us dependent on their petroleum products, even to grow our own food. So they stifled innovation, ensuring that their influence extended from seed to store. Consider the realm of personal technology. In our untainted 2026, every gadget, every device is solar-powered. Imagine a world where the term battery life is obsolete because energy is omnipresent. Devices that charge themselves, that work continuously without the need for an outlet or a cable. The design of these devices is dictated by the freedom solar power provides. They're more efficient, more powerful, and more readily available than anything in a gasoline-dependent world. But this was never meant to be. The tech giants, closely allied with the oil industry, couldn't allow such independence. They needed consumers chained to power grids, to their chargers, to their endless cycle of consumption. So they conspired to keep us plugged in and powered down. Now, turn your attention to health and medicine. In this uncorrupted 2026, hospitals are bastions of solar innovation. Picture medical facilities where every life-saving machine is powered by the sun. Energy is never a concern, allowing focus to shift entirely to patient care and medical breakthroughs. Medical technology has flourished in this environment. Advanced diagnostic equipment, perpetual power for life support systems, and cutting-edge research depend on the limitless energy provided by solar power. But, of course, the pharmaceutical and medical equipment industries, deeply entwined with energy concerns, couldn't permit such autonomy. They profited from scarcity, from the constant need for resources. So they colluded with their oil partners to keep this medical marvel just out of reach. Finally, reflect on the cultural impact. In this solar-fueled 2026, art and creativity are unshackled from the constraints of energy consumption. Imagine theaters, galleries, and performance spaces powered by the sun, where artists can explore new dimensions of creativity without the burden of energy costs. The arts flourish in ways never before imagined. Buildings themselves become canvases, with dynamic solar installations that change with the light. The energy crisis that stifled creativity is non-existent. But this was never destined to be our reality. The cultural gatekeepers, backed by those who profited from scarcity, ensured that art remained a privilege, not a birthright. They kept the true potential of human creativity locked away, hidden behind the veils of their monopolies. Let's delve into the engineering marvels of infrastructure in this suppressed 2026. Imagine bridges and roads that are not just pathways but energy conduits. Every span, Every surface is a solar energy harvester, converting sunlight into power that fuels the entire network. These aren't mere constructs. They're lifelines of a solar-powered civilization. The integration of solar technology into infrastructure is seamless. Roads that light up, bridges that pulse with energy. This is the reality we've been denied. The industry titans who profited from asphalt and concrete saw this as a threat. They couldn't allow infrastructure to evolve beyond their material interests, so they cemented us in the past, ensuring their relevance at the cost of progress. Next, consider the transformation of aviation in this alternate 2026. Picture aircraft that glide silently across the skies, powered not by jet fuel, but by solar energy. These are not the noisy, pollutant-spewing machines of today, but elegant vessels that redefine flight. Every flight is sustainable, every journey powered by the sun. The skies are clearer, the atmosphere cleaner, because solar aviation eliminates the fossil fuel footprint. However, the aviation giants, deeply embedded in the oil economy, couldn't allow this transition. Their fleets and fuel contracts were too lucrative to jeopardize. They clipped the wings of solar aviation before it could take flight. Explore the domain of space exploration in this unclaimed 2026. Imagine spacecraft that use solar sails to traverse the cosmos, harnessing the sun's energy to venture beyond our planetary boundaries. This isn't just a leap forward, it's a boundless expansion of human potential. The solar sails are colossal, capturing energy from the sun and driving humanity's reach into deep space. No longer shackled by the limitations of rocket fuel, exploration is limited only by our imagination. But space exploration is an expensive endeavor, and the oil-backed aerospace industry couldn't afford to lose its grip. They buried the potential of solar propulsion beneath mountains of red tape and regulatory hurdles. Peer into the realm of urban planning in this censored 2026. Envision cities where every building, every park, and even the air itself is part of a solar network. Urban environments that breathe with the rhythm of the sun, adapting to its patterns in a harmonious dance of energy and architecture. These cities aren't designed for cars. They're designed for people. Spaces where technology and nature coexist, where energy flows unobstructed. The urban planners of today, constrained by outdated paradigms and oil-dependent designs, couldn't bring this vision to life. They were trapped in a cycle of short-term gains, blind to the long-term potential of solar urbanism. Finally, let's examine the impact on global ecosystems in this unspoken 2026. Imagine a world where every ecosystem, from the smallest pond to the largest rainforest, thrives without the shadow of fossil fuel exploitation. Solar technology has allowed humanity to step lightly on the earth, preserving its natural beauty. Restoration efforts are powered by renewable energy, allowing for unprecedented ecological recovery. The oil industries, however, saw nature as a resource to be extracted, not preserved. They couldn't allow a world where ecosystems existed without their interference. Their legacy is a world at odds with nature, rather than in harmony with it. But this doesn't have to be our future. The blueprint for balance exists, if only we choose to see it. Let's confront the global economic impact of this alternate 2026. Picture financial systems no longer dictated by the ebb and flow of oil prices. Imagine markets driven by renewable energy innovations, where solar technology is the backbone of economic stability. In this reality, economic booms aren't tied to oil discoveries but to advancements in energy efficiency. The old world order, built on petrodollars and oil reserves, crumbles in the face of a solar economy. Wealth is distributed more equitably, as solar resources are abundant and accessible to all. But the financial empires built on fossil fuels had too much at stake. They manipulated the narrative, convincing us that oil was indispensable. They couldn't allow a world where wealth wasn't concentrated in their hands. Now, let's address the technological advancements that could have been. In this suppressed 2026, quantum computing is powered entirely by solar energy, leading to breakthroughs that redefine the limits of human knowledge. Picture data centers that operate on the sun's energy, processing information at speeds unimaginable in a fossil-fueled world. This leap in computing power accelerates artificial intelligence, medical research, and space exploration. Yet, the tech titans entangled with the oil industry weren't prepared to relinquish their control. Quantum computing without energy constraints threatened their monopolies, so they delayed progress, stifling the potential of a solar-powered technological renaissance. Consider the cultural renaissance that could have unfolded. In this reclaimed 2026, art and science meld seamlessly, fueled by the limitless potential of solar energy. Imagine vast cultural centers where innovations in energy inspire new artistic movements, where exhibitions are powered by sunlight and creativity knows no bounds. These are spaces where the human spirit soars, unfettered by energy constraints. The cultural gatekeepers, however, thrived on exclusivity and scarcity. They couldn't allow a world where art and innovation were accessible to all. So they colluded with the oil oligarchs to keep this renaissance at bay, ensuring that cultural evolution remained a privilege, not a right. Reflect on the environmental policies that could have transformed our world. In our hidden 2026, governments prioritize solar energy, leading to unprecedented environmental recovery efforts. Imagine landscapes once scarred by oil extraction now teeming with life, rejuvenated by policies that favor sustainability over exploitation. These policies create a world where renewable energy is the norm, where conservation efforts are supported by abundant resources. The oil conglomerates, however, had too much invested in maintaining their stranglehold. They lobbied fiercely, ensuring that environmental policies remained toothless, that their interests were protected at the expense of the planet. Finally, envision the legacy of a solar-powered world for future generations. In this enlightened 2026, children grow up in a reality where solar energy is as inherent as air and water. They inherit a planet not plagued by the pollution and conflicts of fossil fuel dependency, but one rich with opportunity and harmony. These future generations are poised to explore new frontiers, unburdened by the constraints of the past. Their world is one of collaboration and innovation, where the sun's energy fuels their dreams. But this was a reality the oil barons couldn't allow. They knew that a world without their influence would render them irrelevant. So they fought to maintain the status quo, robbing future generations of a brighter tomorrow. Begin with the governance of a solar-powered society. In this alternative 2026, governments are not mere puppets of oil interests but stewards of sustainable development. Imagine political systems where decision-making revolves around energy independence and environmental stewardship. These governments invest in solar education, infrastructure, and innovation, fostering a society that thrives on renewable resources. But the oil lobbyists, fearing the loss of their influence, have always intervened. They crafted policies that favored their profits over public good, ensuring that governance remained under their thumb. This solar-driven political landscape was a vision they could never permit to flourish. Examine the transformation of the workforce in a world free of gasoline. In this unaltered 2026, jobs are centered around solar technology and renewable energy. Picture a labor force that is skilled in the installation, maintenance, and innovation of solar solutions, driving economic growth and stability. Employment is plentiful, as renewable energy projects are constantly expanding and evolving. The oil corporations, however, couldn't let go of their dominance over the job market. They propagated the myth that fossil fuels were indispensable for employment, stifling the transition to a solar-powered economy. This vibrant, renewable workforce remains a suppressed possibility, locked away by corporate greed. Turn now to the innovation of energy storage in this overlooked 2026. Imagine batteries that can store solar energy on a scale never before achieved, making renewable energy available even in the absence of sunlight. These aren't your standard lithium-ion cells, but advanced storage systems that redefine energy conservation. These batteries power entire cities, ensuring that solar energy is a continuous, reliable resource. The oil industry, however, couldn't allow such advancements to reach fruition. They depended on the limitations of traditional energy storage to maintain their grip on power. So they lobbied against research and development, keeping this breakthrough firmly out of reach. Explore the realm of international relations in a solar-powered world. In this hidden 2026, alliances are based on shared solar technology and renewable energy initiatives. Picture a global community united by common energy goals, where cooperation replaces competition. Nations collaborate to share advancements, spreading solar technology across borders and uplifting economies on a global scale. The old guard, built on oil alliances and fossil fuel dependencies, couldn't tolerate such unity. They thrived on division and conflict, ensuring that renewable energy cooperation remained an undercurrent, never a mainstream movement. This interconnected global society was stifled by their machinations. Finally, envision the societal ethos of this enlightened 2026. Communities are not only energy efficient but deeply connected to the natural world. Imagine societies that prioritize ecological harmony, where every action is measured by its impact on the planet. These are communities where sustainability is woven into the fabric of daily life. The oil-dominated narrative, however, insisted on consumerism and exploitation. They couldn't allow a paradigm where harmony replaced consumption, where sustainability was the norm. This societal ethos, born of solar enlightenment, was buried beneath layers of profit-driven propaganda. But the seeds of this vision remain, waiting to be unearthed.